According to Italian journalist Gianluca Di Marzio, AC Milan have made contact over a potential summer transfer for Emerson, and the player himself is keen on a return to Italy. Now, when I first saw this transfer rumour today, my initial reaction was, no, that is not happening, because I'm looking forward to Emerson next season at West Ham, and I think he'll have a good season under Lopetegui. I think he'll suit the new head coach, and I think the head coach will suit Emerson as well. Now, that opinion hasn't changed. However, my initial reaction, which is no chance, pause off, that has changed a little bit because I thought about it. And then my conclusion was, would it be the worst thing in the world? And I'll explain my reasons in just a moment. But I've got to the point where it's a bit of a win-win for me. Either we have Emerson at West Ham next season, excellent, or he goes and we get a replacement, which I'm actually okay with. Now, obviously, it depends on two things. One, the fee. Two, the replacement. That I don't know. However, being open to selling Emerson, I'm a lot more open to it than I was initially half an hour ago anyway. Now, in regards to the transfer rumour, I'm a bit reluctant to believe it, and it's not because of the source of Di Marzio, who is hit and miss when it comes to West Ham news. He used to be really good. A few years ago, he used to have a bit of a link to West Ham. When we had Pellegrini's manager, we had a certain Italian coach on his team, who's now obviously the manager of Chelsea, and Di Marzio was getting one or two big stories. Not saying that's who he got it from, however, Di Marzio back then was usually quite reliable for West Ham news. Since Pellegrini and obviously Enzo left, not so much when it comes to West Ham news. However, this isn't a West Ham transfer rumour, this is an AC Milan transfer rumour, and a West Ham player is just a subject of such thing. The reason I'm reluctant to believe it is because it won't be cheap. We will command a big fee. He's still got 2 years to run on his contract, so we're not under any pressure to sell him. Plus, we've got an option on there as well. So while it runs until the summer of 2026, it can be the summer of 2027. So in terms of West Ham, we're in a really strong negotiating point already. So he's not going to be cheap. And second of all, you're just not displacing Hernandez. There's just some players in the world of football, you're just not taking them out of the team. Hernandez at AC Milan is one of those. It's a bit like, I don't know, Arsenal buying a centre midfielder. Declan Rice ain't coming out of there. You might buy somebody to play next Declan Rice, or them going and signing a right winger. You're not replacing Saka. It's as simple as that. And I think Hernandez at AC Milan is certainly one of those players. He ain't going in. So if Emerson was to go there, it would almost be to play second fiddle, going from first team football at West Ham to go over there. Now I get why he'd go back to Italy. He was obviously there with Roma and Palermo. Was he with Palermo? I don't know why that should come out of my mouth. Anyway, I think he was at Palermo before he joined Roma, before coming over to... Anyway, he might have been at Palermo. He was definitely at Roma though, so I can understand why he'd go back there. Obviously not in the Italian national squad for the Euros either, so I get it why he would be open to the move. In regards to why I'm open to selling him, now, like I said, hear me out, right? I'm not trying to convince you or anything, I'm just trying to explain my thoughts. Disclaimer again, happy to not sell him. There's a difference between actively hoping to sell somebody, i.e. transfer listing them, and being open to selling them. And I'm open to selling majority of players at West Ham. Everybody's got a price. Emerson is no different. And when you look at the profile of him, he'll be 30 before next season kicks off against Aston Villa. We don't leave London for the first 3 months. Every game in August, September, October for West Ham is in London. That's got to be a bit of an advantage, surely. But anyway, when we kick off against Aston Villa, Emerson will be 30 years old. 2 years on his contract with that option there. And I've always been critical of West Ham's ability to sell our players. I think sometimes we hold on for players too long, so the value depreciates. They go from a first team player to a bit part player, and their value declines accordingly. Pablo Fornals would probably be a really good example of somebody who would have been worth, after his 12, 18, 24 months with us, I'd imagine his value was higher than what we paid. If we wanted to cash in on him, we could have made a decent profit on him, but we just held on to him. He came out of the team, stayed out of the team, and we kept holding on to him. Then his contract situation was a bit of an issue. In the end, we sold him for less than 10 million. So we can sometimes just get it wrong. And as a fan base, we naturally, as football fans, we put a lot of emphasis on players we're looking to bring in. Naturally so, it's exciting. There's not much excitement about selling a player. it's not exciting. Bringing in a new player, that's exciting. Bringing in players you've never heard of that you're going to discover, also exciting. Bringing in big money signings like Kudus, very exciting. My point is, I think sometimes the focus is all on who we buy rather than who we sell. And this is something I'm looking for Tim Snyden to change at West Ham. And I've been pretty impressed so far, actually, with the money we brought in for the players that we have. Doesn't excuse not bringing in players. So the January transfer window, prime example, Kerr, Benrahma, Fornals all left. We got in a decent bit of money for them. And assuming Benrahma does join Lyon, we've got in some decent money. Like I said, doesn't excuse not replacing one of those attacking midfielders. But in terms of sales, I'm impressed so far, actually. Even Gianluca Scamacca, we end up getting the majority of our money back. A Gerd, now that's someone that's up for sale. He's transfer listed. But the price is very public. 30 million. You want him? Cough up. And I'm just hoping that there's no longer going to be fire sales at West Ham. Because, like I said, sometimes the players go and it's bad value for us. Ben Johnson's a really good example. Now, hopefully he signs a new contract. The rumours are he will. But last summer we could have got a handful of million for him. We turned down a £3.5 million bid for him in the January transfer window from Feyenoord. So we could have cashed in. We chose not to. So selling players is something we've got to improve on. And when you look at Emerson, 30 years old, 2 years to go in his contract, and what would his market value be today? I think we'd make a profit. We paid 13 million for him. I don't know, 20 million. Is that a fair price? I think it is. They might not pay it. But again, we are not looking to sell. So if you're wanting to buy a player, we're not necessarily hoping to move on. It's going to cost you. There's going to be a small premium attached to that. I'd like to think we'd get minimum 15, but maybe 20 million or something would be the asking price. I think that would be good business for us. I do. But like I said, it's win-win for me. If we cash in and get a decent fee, good. If we keep him and he's here next season, also good. I just hope that we do eventually sell him. That his contract doesn't necessarily run out, or we're stuck with him in his early 32, 33 years old and he's still here. Because we're going to need to refresh left back situation at some point. And, well, selling Emerson will give us a bit of money to start doing it in this window. Now we're going to move on to the rumoured player coming in, which is Ryan Sessegnon of Spurs. You all know who he is. I've seen him more in a Hoffenheim shirt. I remember him being on loan to Hoffenheim, actually. So I've seen him more in the Bundesliga than I have in England in a Spurs shirt, or a Fulham shirt as it was. We were linked to him a week ago, and I dismissed it. No. I thought it was just fans wanting Sessegnon. I thought that's all it was. People saw he was being released from Spurs, so he's available on a free. Just turned 24 years old. Once tipped as one of the best youngsters in English football. When he went from Fulham to Spurs, it was seen as a massive signing for him. It was just expected he would go on. And basically, today, be in England squad. 5 years late, 5 years after joining Spurs, it was almost expected that he would be in the Spurs squad today. Put it this way, 4 or 5 years ago, he's probably a bigger prospect than Cole Palmer and Anthony Gordon, both of whom are in the England team. And Eze, put Eze in there as well. I'm unsure when he joined Crystal Palace, actually. Maybe leave that one out, right? I maybe made 2 mistakes there. Eze and Palermo, maybe room for one more. But in regards to Sessegnon, I just thought it was fans seeing he'd been released. Thinking, yeah, I'd have him. I'd take a punt on him. So the two Jacobs did a report over the last couple of days on this. First we got Ben Jacobs saying that West Ham wanted him, then Jacob Steinberg saying that West Ham want him and it would be a short-term deal. I'm not against that. A short-term contract, a 1 year deal, literally just a 1 year contract. However, with options in there so that if he does work out, we can just click our fingers and he's got an extra 1 year or 2 years added to his contract as well. Protect ourselves, because a bit like Emerson, we're in the position of power when it comes to negotiating with Sessegnon. That would be a really good move for him to come to West Ham. Be a fantastic move. I wouldn't want him to replace Emerson. Funny enough, he would have been a decent enough option to replace Alan Cresswell, whose contract we've extended. But regardless of Cresswell's situation, I would still have Sessegnon, and the reason is he's had injury problems. He's had hamstring surgery last season, played 1 game I think for Spurs in the FA Cup, and that was it. I think he might have played a couple of games for the 21 team as well. Hardly any appearances, and if there was any big. You had to pay a fee for Sessegnon. I said absolutely no chance. Walk away from it. But I think it's worth a gamble. It would be a minimum outlay in terms of money. Bring him in. He's essentially second, third choice left back, but he can also play wing back if we wish to. He can play further forward as a left winger. Very versatile down that left hand side. I think it just makes sense because if he was to get injured, let's just say October, before we played a game outside of London, Sessegnon breaks down again. He's got another hamstring injury. He's out for pretty much the entire season. It's not the end of the world. We've still got Emerson or his replacement, as well as Aaron Cresswell. Left back is not impacted, but that would have to be Sessegnon's role. Somebody that we don't rely on. You almost do your squad planning and ignore him to some extent, and he's just there as the other guy. Homegrown as well, which obviously helps for admin purposes of the squad. So yeah, I'm up for it actually. Sessegnon on a free, I'm up for it, but only on a 1-year contract, and if the wages are low. It's got to, this deal has to suit West Ham, just like the Emerson one does. But he cannot be the replacement for Emerson should we decide to cash in. For what it's worth, prediction time, I don't think we'll sell Emerson. I'm actually 50-50 with Sessegnon actually. I wouldn't be surprised, because he's going to have to go somewhere immediately. He doesn't have to sign for anyone immediately. He just needs to go somewhere and train. And I think, basically, just saying to Ryan Sessegnon, look, we begin pre-season trading on this date. You're more than welcome. And hopefully it comes along on trial. Obviously, you run the risk that another club comes in and picks him up. But while he's with West Ham training, you think he might just hang on. A bit like Andros Townsend. Trained all summer with Burnley. There you go. There's my third potential mistake. I think he trained all summer with Burnley before signing for Luton Town. And it's fine. Burnley had a look at him, decided not to offer him a contract, and then Luton said, well, we'll give him a punt, and he turned out to be alright. So yeah, keen on Sessegnon. Not excited, but I think it's worth the punt. Low risk, potentially high reward. Anyway, let me know what you think on the two rumours, on the possibility of selling him. Do it hypothetically, even if you don't believe the rumour, that's okay. But would you sell Emerson? I'm a yes, but as long as it was 18+ million, then I'm a yes. Anything lower than that, I'd be inclined to keep him for another season at least. And Sessegnon, yes for me. So get involved in the comments below. I'll catch up with you tomorrow. But if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it, subscribe to Ham's Chat. I'll catch you in a bit.